Here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. With me today, I've got Frank Husmann, and we're going to be talking about how you can stand out in a crowd in a noisy market. Because I don't know about you, but when I go to LinkedIn, it is very noisy, and I scroll through and I go boring. Frank, where can people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me at Maxiality.com and of course on LinkedIn, Frank Husmann. Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Excellent. And you've even spelt it on your name, so we know what.
Yeah.
So Frank, you've got an interesting background anyway, haven't you? Because you've kind of run agencies and stuff. And so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I think you could say I'm an entrepreneur. I've probably founded 3 companies. One of them is an agency, and the last one was a SaaS company. And SaaS in the B2B space. And I've actually always been more or less in the B2B space. And for a few years now, after my exit, the people have been calling me and contacting me about, can you please help me with my B2B marketing and sales strategy, especially for tech companies? So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. There's lots going on. And I think you already mentioned in the intro. I mean, B2B companies can really communicate in a kind of a boring way. That's one. And the other thing is that lots of changes have been going on lately. I mean, AI, Google changes, and the buyer journey has changed as well. So I think that's probably one of the things that we're going to talk about right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is that you've got experience of actually, so you're not like I run a marketing agency for the last 20 years. You've actually run companies and have had to do this for yourself.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and especially on SaaS, because I mean, it's really a different beast. I mean, yesterday I was talking to someone who said, okay, so he's got a SaaS company, but he also has got an IT company. I said, I'm using 2 different agencies, and I'm one of them for the SaaS company because it has really a different mindset to do tech and SaaS. It's something different, and I think the feedback that I get is that I look at it from an entrepreneurial way, but also from a background that I know the pressure, and I know the things that there's so many different things that you have to do when you're running a SaaS. I mean, creating the software is one, but also supporting it, selling it, marketing it is another thing. But I mean, at the end of the day, this is B2B marketing, B2B marketing and sales. So we all face the same challenges. And yeah, I think it helps that I have been in their shoes, most definitely. Yeah.
So what's the difference between SaaS and tech then?
Yeah, so I mean, semantics is always so a tech company can be
like, but
yeah, so a tech company can be a cybersecurity company offering services. But it can also be a hosting company, for example, and a SaaS company is really creating a software product and selling that software product. And I'm mainly focusing on a SaaS software. Yeah.
Right. So if as an organization and as a founder, so I've got a SaaS a company. What is it that I need to do?
Yeah, so I mean, if you boil it down, the first thing that you need to do is get product market fit with your software, and this is really hard because at the end of the day, you're selling, you're solving a pain for an audience, a real specific audience, and the pain point that you're solving, the way that you're solving the solution, it can be like a vitamin, but it can also be a real painkiller. And I would love it if it's going to be a painkiller, because then you find some product market fit and some traction as well, because people will not want to leave your software. So that's the hard part. And how do you do that? I mean, we could talk about it for hours and hours, because that's a real hard part. But it starts with talking to your ideal customers, talking with your current customers, knowing what it is that they really want to have. So what is the outcome that they want from the software? These are the basics that you need to cover. And you need to do it over and over and over again, because the market is changing, your software is changing, your company is changing. So there's product market fit. And then you need to have message market fit, or you need to create a way to communicate this problem that you're solving to your market in a way that it resonates with your audience on the right channel as well. And always start with one channel and go from there. If you can do that right quite well, then you can move over to other channels. And that's the marketing part. And of course, when you start out, it's always sales-led. It's founder sales-led.
Yes.
And so how do you do that, right? This is the main thing. And I think we're in a switch to more founder marketing-led. So create lots of valuable content for your ideal client profile in the channels that they already are. If you do that, you will draw hand raisers that will go to your website and go for a free trial or whatever. That's basically the switch that we're in right now.
So if we take a founder, so a founder always needs to sell to their network.
Yeah.
And at some point you're going to run out of people that you can sell to.
Yeah.
But also as a founder, what will happen if someone comes to you and goes, "That's really interesting, we'll buy it." People will buy. So you're in a situation where You'll just go, well, you want to buy? Okay, well, I'll take the order. You don't necessarily know why they're buying. So as a founder, it's also a question which is like, so you really need to get a handle on, don't you, in terms of why is it that what's the pain that you're solving?
Yeah, and it really depends on what phase you are as a company, as a founder even, and with the software that you got or the services, that doesn't really matter. I mean, we're talking about B2B at the end of the day. At first you don't know, because you've probably created something that you thought that was going to solve a problem, but then you talk to more people, but it always evolves. And I think at first you're happy with any client, right? And I think that's also, I mean, I remember from my agency days in the past that, I mean, I did things for insurance companies, for banks, and also for hospitality and for hotels. So it was pretty scattered, because I thought, well, we can create pretty great websites, so why not do it all, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, if you focus, if you really know what pain you're trying to solve, it's going to be a lot easier if you keep on communicating how you do that, the challenge that you have seen with your clients. And if you pinpoint it, then it will feel a lot easier to do the marketing and sales part, and also to create your software, because I mean, your backlog will be gigantic if you talk to hundreds of people, right? And they all want something different. You want the blue button, you want integration with Dynamics, you want integration with Zapier, whatnot. But if you really have things focused down, you really know what you have to do. So yeah, I think we're not in the tips phase yet. Probably, but one of the tips that I always give to anyone that I speak with is, well, it's actually a question. When's the last time you spoke to a customer? And sometimes it's really silent.
Yeah, I've talked to other people, and they said they'd have meetings with customers, and the customer actually then turned around and said, you know, it's really interesting that you're selling this, but you've also got this, you're doing this, which is the thing that actually why we bought it. And that was they actually went back to the office and completely pivoted the company, because they weren't selling what the customer was actually buying.
Yeah, crazy, right? Yeah. So actually, one of the first things that we always do when we get to know a new client and start working with a new client, one of the first things we create 2 cases minimum, because then we can talk to real customers. So we can ask them how they define them, what were the problems that they were facing. It helps us so much in just doing desk research or talking to a finder, talking to sales reps, because they will all give you a different answer. So yeah, that helps a lot, just creating cases, and that's a great way to talk to customers.
So as a founder, I mean, I need to be doing sales, and while I can hire salespeople can be expensive, and you don't necessarily know that they're going to be any good unless they're a mate or something like that.
Yeah.
So what can I be, as the founder, doing to make sure that I'm in effect perpetuating the sales process going on? So it's not just about my network, but I'm getting into new and talking to new people.
Yeah, that's a great question, Tim, because we're actually in a change right now. Also, not only on the B2B marketing part, but also on the B2B sales part. The playbook used to be, if I would add another sales rep, and it will cost me, I don't know, 200,000, 300,000, whatever, dollars or euros, whatever. It doesn't really matter. I will get about $1 million extra revenue in my company for a year or so, more or less. That's the equation. All depends on whatever, you know. And that playbook did work in the past, because you just add more reps. And
I used to call it muscle. It was all about salesperson muscle. You would just I've worked in organizations where we just go out and hire 10 salespeople, because that will add so much to the
pipeline. Yeah. But the thing right now is that a small sales team of maybe 1, 2, 3 people can really outperform a team of 10 salespeople or 20 salespeople, because of all the technology changes, but also the buyer journey has changed a lot. So what's the main thing that has changed is that it's all self-service right now, as one, and we got dark social. People consume content on so many different ways right now. So starting with the self-service part, as a marketeer, you need to build trust. That's the only thing that you need to do. How can you do it? You create valuable content, and I mean really, really valuable content,
not just brochures.
No, definitely not brochures. No. But also not the top 10 ways to implement the CRM software in industry, whatever. You know, I mean, that doesn't work. We got thousands of these articles, even in that industry.
It worked 5 years ago.
Yeah,
maybe 7 years ago.
Yeah, that's the HubSpot playbook, basically, where you create so much content that people will get to you, and the whole inbound thing. I'm not against it. It does work, but I mean, we have to change it. And how we're going to change, we're going to talk about it. But the whole self-service buyer journey means people will consume so much content that at some point they will just call a rep for a demo. They want a demo, and they already know they want this software or that software. They want to have this agency or that agency. They already know. But in the past, in B2B, it used to be marketing would be this part of the journey, customer journey, and the other part would be sales. They would be demoing, hustling all day, calling them, DMing them, sending them leaflets, brochures, whatever, But that has changed because the customer journey is just completely different than a couple of years ago for the self-service part that I just mentioned. And the other part is that the self-service part is also done on different channels because, for example, 10 years ago, we only had Google, right? Basically, of course, there were other channels, but it was the dominant channel. But now, I mean, I don't know if you looked at Google, Tim, when you did a search for your company. But I mean, it's interesting, right? What you see right now.
There's if you look at data that comes from people like Simon Kemp on LinkedIn, most people under the age of 35 turn to social media before they turn to search engines.
Yeah. That's one big factor. Yeah.
Now they do use search engines. It's the second thing they turn to search. But it flips on. If you're over 35, you tend to go to search engines, then you go to social media. But it's this interesting age divide in the way that people are searching.
Yeah, it's a crossroads really, and it's age, definitely. But it's also, I mean, the way that Google is showing the results right now, it's really a challenge. I mean, if you Google for something, you'll have Forbes or Reddit in the top 2 or 3 or whatever, and it makes no sense because you want to know something about CRM software, for example, right? How could they know anything about it? But yeah, so that's one of the challenges. But also, it's great that there are so many channels right now because 10 years ago we didn't have Capterra or G2 for review sites for software. I'm not saying that it's great, but they're there right now and they are in Google as well. But we also have these communities. We have Slack communities, Discord communities that we're both probably in to learn about the new things about B2B marketing, or for me specifically SaaS things. And people ask questions there as well. So that's what we call dark social. So you also need to be there. And one great way to be there is to share content in different ways than we used to do. So in the past, we just created blog articles. That's the thing that we talked about, right? The whole inbound thing. But since content is now consumed on so many different channels, I think the greatest way to start is just by doing video like we're doing right now, and then repurpose it to all the different channels in long form and in snackable content.
And so in terms of, in terms of, I'm a founder, I want to sell stuff.
Yeah.
What I need to be doing is I need to be doing content.
Right.
But should I be getting someone to write that content, or should I be doing it myself? And how do I? And is it is it about me? Is it about the product?
Right. Yeah. Great question, Tim. So basically, it's a move from founder-led sales to founder-led marketing. That's a way to call it. And so sales has been more or less just doing cold outreach and stuff like that, which is great, which I think you should still be doing in a bit of a smarter way by adding real value with the content that you're creating. But the founder-led marketing part is creating content about the pain points of your company, but also your personal opinions, your point of view on the market, the things that you disagree with, for example. So if you have a strong point of view and you share that for, I don't know, we've seen results in 3 months, but let's say 6 months consistently, you will become an authority in your niche. And I mean a micro niche, right? And I'm not talking about being the.
You're not going to be an influencer in CRM.
No. And that's also a great thing to mention, because there are so many LinkedIn influencers and whatnot, or TikTok influencers, but they are using methods and ways to go viral, But I mean, if you're selling an Airbus or a Boeing or, I don't know, software for a specific niche, you don't want to go viral and you have to send all these, I don't know, stuff that you created for free. You just want to create a constant stream of great, valuable, inspirational content that at some point in the buyer journey, because the buyer journey is long, on average 7 months, your prospect will go like, hey, but what I just read, and now I remember what Tim just wrote on LinkedIn, or the video I saw from Tim, I'm going to give him a call. And that's the whole goal of this. Just by
it's to be front of mind, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And the hard part is, how do you do this? Because I mean, a founder is really busy creating all that content, and most of the time they're not great writers, or if they're great writers, it's fine. But most of them are not, because they have got multiple talents most of the time. Or, but anyway, that's a challenge, right? Even if they have the time, they'll do it on Sunday morning, and they'll go like, "Oh, this Sunday I couldn't make it because I have to do something with my kids, or have to attend something." So that's a challenge. The easy way to do is if you have some people in your company. What we do for them is basically, you could do it yourself. Is 1 hour a month. We will record a session like this. Of course, we'll do some pre-production up front with the question that we'd like to have answered. And from this 1 hour of content, we can create 1 or 2 blog articles. We can create at least 8 videos for LinkedIn. And we'll create a couple of YouTube shorts and 2 or 3 YouTube long form videos and an email marketing newsletter. So that's a lot of content for 1 hour from a founder. And if you post that content and you analyze it after a month, you will definitely know what works. And you can amplify what works with LinkedIn ads. So if you do that consistently in your ideal audience, is what we always use, custom audiences most of the time. Yeah, you will be omnipresent for them because they will always see you. They always see you, and you do some outreach on LinkedIn as well. Then I mean, you can't be missed basically. And I think to wrap that one up is, you already asked about, so what do you have to talk about, right?
Yeah.
So the things that we talk about, we don't like to talk so much about product. I mean, that has also been something of the past of B2B companies, right? Also about new features, new integrations. I mean, it's interesting for the company, but is it really interesting for the prospects or the customers? No, because they want to have a problem solved. So if you have a new integration, you have to focus on that you can finally integrate with, I don't know, MS Dynamics or Salesforce or whatever, because that solves problem X, Y, Z for this avatar, this specific use case or group of people. But this is just talking about the product. We don't want to focus too much on product. It's showing your expertise by talking about the pain points of your customer, but also developing your own point of view and talking about a point of view. And creating a point of view is hard. You will not get that right away. It takes some time, but at the end of the day, I mean, we all have some things that are, I don't know, bothering us in our marketplace, right? And I think I already mentioned something about some LinkedIn influencers. They have this playbook where they just shout out about just, if you do this, you'll have, I don't know, 10,000 followers at the end of this year or whatever. And just like or comment to get the playbook. I mean, these things are in my opinion, are great if you want to have lots of followers who are not in your ideal client profile. So that's something that I have a strong opinion about. And if you ask me, I will talk about it. And the other thing,
and that's just a really good example, though, Frank, of you giving your opinion, because what that does is some people will say, "Well, I think Frank's wrong."
Yeah, definitely.
And some people like me will say, "I think Frank's right."
Yeah.
But that's good.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, because I think you summed it up really great. I think one thing I'd like to add is, the other thing is that we're talking about demand generation. We didn't really talk about, but that's also the shift. I mean, from
you got 2 minutes, Frank.
Lead generation to demand generation is one thing. Marketeers have been always responsible for creating marketing qualified leads. It's really easy to get them because you put a white paper up and you'll have lots of downloads, right? But sales will not be happy about them. So if you do demand generation, where you create lots of value up front, you ungate a lot of stuff. You will have people who raise their hand and go to you, but you didn't even expect them to do, actually, in the end. And that's a great way of that people will disagree with as well.
Again, I think absolutely. I mean, if you look at the figures that are coming out of Sixth Sense at the moment, I think gated content has like a 3% return.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Of course, I've did it in the past as well. It used to work, but it doesn't work anymore. So really.
And if you're running a strategy in terms of saying, what we would always say is, if I rang you, Frank, how often can I ring you? Can I ring you every day and tell you about my product?
Yeah.
You go, no.
No, you can't ring me every day. No, of course not, because
I ring you every week.
Yeah.
And you go, no. And he said, a month. Okay, I'll take a call every month. But I can post something about every day on social that you can see.
Yeah, it's a 24/7 sales rep, basically.
Yeah. And that's it is a 24/7 sales rep, which is why it needs to be working hard for you.
Yes, completely agree here. Yeah, great.
I'm going to write that down, actually, because it's a
it's great.
And I mean, you talked in the preparation, you talked about the Seth Godin book, The Purple Cow.
Yeah.
About being the difference.
Yeah. And I think having a point of view is definitely being different, because there are 10 CRMs in the same industry. I'm talking about CRM all the time, but we can talk about anything, basically, that it's already there. There's software for it.
I think there's 800 or something, isn't there? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
it's a bit like I mean, I always find it funny that there's this a list of Martech, and we celebrate how many of them.
Yeah.
Surely we shouldn't be celebrating how many
No,
of them,
no, no,
because
no, not at
if
all.
you
No.
work for a Martech company, you must be desperately.
Yeah,
I mean, I know a CMO who sighs every time it comes out, because she knows that that's, if there's 14,000 Martech products, that's 14,000 salespeople that are going to try and get hold of her.
yeah, yeah. So how can you be different? And that's really hard because you're selling software, you can touch it. So what can you do differently? Show the human side. And when you can show the human side with video, for example, with your own point of view, I mean, you will already be different because, I mean, only 1% of people on LinkedIn create content. So that's one of the things that.
But if you take, so if you take a chief marketing officer, a CMO, so we know that there's 14,000 Martech products. So that's 14,000 salespeople that are trying to contact that CMO.
Yeah,
Add to it all the marketing agencies that are trying to contact.
yeah,
Add to it all of the video agencies. Add to it all of the. It's thousands of people
yeah. All going
all
for the
saying
same.
the same thing: buy my product because we're great.
Yeah,
Talk to me because I can solve your problem.
yeah. Does it work that way? No.
I mean, it just doesn't work that way.
No, no. And it used to
I mean,
work because
not
there was
anymore.
free money, right? And when there was free money from all those venture capital parties, it will work, yeah. But things have really changed.
Frank, thank you so much for coming on and stirring it up a bit. That's been
Thank you,
really good.
Tim. Really appreciate it.
I've really enjoyed it. Frank, where can people find you?
Yeah, just go to maxiality.com. You can see my free video training about doing expert marketing and all the playbooks that I just shared. And of course, on LinkedIn, Frank Husmann, just hit me up. Love to share my my thoughts and advice. Yeah.
And you're going to be and all your divisive content.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.